Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely, fluffy, non-fluffy, and equally lovely listener. I said lovely twice. We're going off script here. So this is all ad-libbed. I hope you don't mind. First of all, I want to apologize for a couple things. First is, I know that this podcast is a little delayed. It's been, I don't know how long since the last episode. I want to say it's been like 2 weeks or something, but there's a few reasons for that. Well, the second thing I also want to apologize for is my voice, if you couldn't tell. I'm a little sick. And that is because I have officially returned from Midwest Fur Fest. Yes, that was this past weekend, and we'll get into it deeper, but I'm so grateful for the time that I got to have last weekend with so many friends and individuals that I got to see. Like, you have no idea how much it means. And I have a cat who really wants my attention. Archie, that's the microphone. I don't know if you want to rub on that. Hi, sir. Archie always having to steal the show every single time. So yeah, a little bit of con crud is happening right now. It could be worse. It could be much worse. Just basically congestion. Had a bit of a scratchy throat earlier this week and a bit of a cough right now. So if I sound nasal, that's why. So yeah, my apologies that this is a little out of form or out of sorts. It's very different. So you can, yeah. The thing is, when you go from, excuse me, when you go from cold, then hot, then cold, from a convention center to outside, which is sometimes below zero temperatures, it tends to mess with your body. And also you're around 16,000 plus people. Oh man, it'll do you in, and it really did me in. But like I said, we'll get into that. So, again, going off script, I don't have my notes, but I do have things to talk about. So let's talk about them. Yeah, so it's been an interesting week. I worked from Tuesday to today, which is Friday, and I didn't take any time off for my sickness. I could have, but I didn't. It's because everybody at my workplace is currently trying to use up their time off, so I had to be there to kind of buffer things, and it's been okay. I was able to power through, and now I'm laying on my back, sucking down breaths and trying not to cough while I talk. So it's been, not the hardest week of my life, but it's definitely a struggle. I do have to tell you about something that happened yesterday. So for the past few days, I've been dealing with, like I said, congestion, but part of that is runny nose. So I've been, like tissue after tissue, just trying to manage the discharge, and I'm trying not to sound gross. So, but what also comes with the territory of a runny nose is sneezing. And those of you who don't know about me, I am a power sneezer. Like, when I sneeze, it is a olfactory exorcism. My whole body rocks, especially when I'm stuffed up. So yesterday, I went to my parents' house, had some dinner, picked up some Christmas decorations, and did some chores and stuff like always. Also did all of my convention laundry while I was there, which is always an interesting thing when you do your convention laundry post-convention at your parents' house. They did not, excuse me, they did not see the skirt. They did not see the main outfit. They didn't see the very gay underwear that I have. So I'm going to call that a win. I think that's a win overall. So, you always got to be a little discreet when you're doing laundry at your parents' house. Archie, that is not for you to rub on. If you hear any scratching, that is Archie trying to rub his face on the microphone because he wants me to pet him. So that's what's happening right now. Um, hey, it's almost dinner time, Archie. What you doing, huh? You want to say hi to everybody? Excuse me. So I'm really trying to maintain right now. Um, but other than that, the drive was smooth. It wasn't too crazy. Had some. It was about a 7-hour drive both ways. In total, with stops. So yeah. Shout out to Blue Jackalope for being an absolute MVP when it comes to convention driving. We split up the driving so we weren't, tired or we weren't too drained when we got there when we were getting home. Excuse me. Yeah. But yeah, getting there was really no problem, except that we did have a bit of a detour. All of a sudden, we were taking like these back road routes, and we were like, "Why is this happening?" And somehow the GPS was taking us not on the turnpike, which is what we did not want, right? So we realized maybe an hour into the departure to MFF that we were going the incorrect routes. I'm glad it was only an hour in and not like the whole way, you know? Could have been really bad. We could have gotten there at midnight and we would have been questioning why, but I'm glad we caught that. So arrive at the hotel and immediately I'm getting in suit, I get my get my little partial on and I go down and I get my registration and immediately I run into people that I know. It's so amazing when you put your fursuit on how many people recognize you like instantaneously. Um so I did that, got my reg, saw a lot of Ohio furs immediately and it was actually quite fast. Like some people were complaining about registration this year that it was taking too long, but I got the sponsorship tier because I'm bougie, I guess. And it only took me 5 minutes to get. It only took me 5 minutes to get registration. I tried not to brag. I was like, "Oh, registration took like an hour for you. It only took 5 minutes for me." I did not say that. I'm trying to be cordial, But anyway, excuse me. Sorry for blowing up the mic. Um, I hope you'll forgive me for the um percolation. Anyway, um, so immediately, I've had what was wrong with me? I'm saying immediately a lot. Yeah, I just like was walking around and seeing people and hanging out and stuff, and it was great. It was great to catch up on some friendships and getting to catch people that I hadn't seen for a very long time. And I'm just so glad that it did turn out that way. Like it did um, have a positive effect from the start. And the next day, got up fairly early, like maybe 9 or something. Uh, Went down to a little breakfast, and I'm thankful to say that I didn't miss breakfast this entire con. Um, but I spent most of the con socializing. I did not go to many panels. I didn't really go to any shows or anything. Even though I wanted to, I spent a lot of time. Like I decided that this con was built for people that I love and want to see, right? So that's what I did. Met some new friends, got some lovely telegrams from people, some stickers, actually a lot of stickers. Um, and I have to say, the biggest highlight for MFF this year was getting to meet so many of you. Like, there wasn't a moment, and I could count it on one paw. Like, like there was not a moment like in of dead space where there wasn't somebody coming up to me and saying something. And it's getting more and more frequent, and I don't hate that. I'm not complaining or anything. It is an absolute honor. The fact that you all who I got to meet at the con took the time to come up to me and say something, have a hug, a picture, have a conversation, you know what I mean? And that's really, like, honestly, the biggest highlight. And I will never be able to live that down. Honestly, I will never be able to compare that to anything else that has given me this con experience. You know, I don't know. I think about that. I think about something that simple, like someone coming up to you and saying something like, "Oh, I really like your stuff," or "I like the videos you make," or "I like the TikToks," or whatever. And it's always so mind blowing to me, like every single time. You know, um, one of the things that my therapist and I have talked about over the months has been imposter syndrome. Um, And I think we all, on some level, deal with imposter syndrome. Like, it it does plague our minds when we least expect it, and it can especially plague your mind. And this is just my opinion. It can especially plague your mind when you're in the furry fandom, you're a fursuiter or whatever. You in some in some way you can separate the real you, like the real life you, from the fursuiting you, or like the persona you, right? People come up to the persona me, or the fursuiter me, as it were, and they tell me how much they appreciate what I do. And it's happened also a couple of times where I'm out of suit and somebody will see my badge and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, you're Samson." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And then we have a conversation like, "Oh, I can't believe this is what you look like out of suit." I'm like, "Yep, this is what I look like." And I always try to say something funny like, "Oh, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I know what I look like. Thanks." No, trying not to be too self-deprecating, but it does lighten the mood. It's a good icebreaker in my opinion. So, um, but you know, I still deal with it. I still deal with the reality and the sort of the cognitive dissonance, as it's been called, of this is me. Like, this is who I am. This is what I do, and nobody else. Like, this is I'm the only one who can be me, and I'm the only one who can be Samson Kitty Fox, right? Um, and trying to have to like having to conflate the two, like it it is me with or without the fursuit. It's me with or without the persona, and trying to convince myself of that has been kind of a challenge, you know. Uh, but I just have to say, like, every experience that I have meeting someone who watches my stuff and says how much they appreciate what I do, it just, like, I don't know. I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I can say thank you as many times as possible. I can give a sticker. Excuse me, sorry. Trying to lean away from the mic when I do that. But I can give a sticker, I can give a hug, I can take a picture, and those interactions oftentimes will only last a few minutes. Every minute of that is an absolute blessing. Every second is an absolute blessing. Like, I don't want to discount it in any way, shape, or form, but it's still something that I struggle to get my head around, like I feel like I should be doing more, you know, like having a conversation, spending time with the people who want to talk, who come up to me, and I get it. Like, we all understand it. It's a con. We're all doing things. We all go off and do other things. There's plenty of things to do and plenty of things to get to, things you want to do, and you can't spend your entire time with one person or, with multiple people at, different times. So the other the other course of battle with that I honestly sometimes feel guilty about is that, you know, I don't know how to say this, like, is the fact that I feel guilty sometimes for not spending enough time with somebody or giving them enough of my time or whatever. And I really try to do my best to, talk as long as possible, trying to talk as long as possible, trying to experience that moment as long as possible and as much as possible with them before we go our separate ways and probably not see each other for the rest of the con because it's a big con, 16,000 plus people. And you can imagine the struggle that that turns into. It's like, oh my gosh, you found me, I'm a needle in a haystack here and I may not see you the rest of the time. So let's make the most of this moment, and that's what I want to do. And that's what I try to do every time. Um, and the other thing, and it always, excuse me, it always, sorry, it always breaks my heart whenever I get home and I get messages from people, you know. Um, I'll get comments on my videos or I'll get messages, DMs or something that say, quote, you were there and I never got to see you. And it's just like, oh, man. Oh, I really tried. I really tried to be as present as possible. And I really tried to be there. And it's difficult. And on the other on the other hand of that, you have people that are friends and close to me and other such, acquaintances and people that want to spend time, and you're like, and then you'll get a message, or I'll get a message that says, oh, I wish I spent more time with you. And it's like, me too. I wish we had more hours in the day. But I'm just glad that there is this multi understanding, or this layered understanding that it is a convention, and that's not entirely possible, right? All this to say, it's you do what you can. You do what you can to be there and be present and give people as much of your time as possible, even if it seems impossible. And trying to see every person is, in fact, a choice. It's not. I don't know. Trying to see every person, it can turn into, like, if you're not careful, it can really weigh on your mind, and it can really make you feel like you're not enough or you're not doing enough. But I have had to accept that I can't get to everybody. I can't get to everybody, and that's what kills me the most is, you know, you listening to this, if you met me at MFF or any other con, just know that you're not just a number, you know. You're more, you're so much more than just a number. You're so much more than just a comment of a few words on a screen. You're more than just that, that blue like that you you put on a video, or like that little red heart that you put on a video, and uh you you're a real person, and I want to be there for that person. I do. And it's starting to hit me. Like, it really is starting to hit me that it's becoming more and more impossible to meet everybody that I come across. And the longer I am active in this fandom, the more that I do, the more that I see, the more people that I meet, the reality is hitting me that I'm not going to be able to meet everybody. And honestly, I say it for a reason. Like, excuse me, I say it for a reason. If I could, if I could give every single one of you a hug and say thank you, I would. 100% I would do it. And I'm really trying not to get to myself, to say that I'm not enough or say I'm not doing enough, because I'm one person. I can only be in one place at one time at a time. And I can only be at one con at a time. I only have so many hours in a day at a convention or a meetup or wherever. And that's okay. It's okay, you know? And it's not that I was intentionally not trying to meet people. Excuse me, that would that would change it, honestly. Um it's not like I'm intentionally avoiding or trying not to meet people. It's that it's becoming more difficult to do that. And I'm really trying to reconcile that, I'm really trying to reconcile that and make it okay and make it a reality and remind myself that this is not the only opportunity that I'll have when meeting somebody or trying to meet somebody or, you know, someone coming up to me and saying something. Um, but that's where I think the imposter syndrome is the strongest. Is I honestly feel like I don't deserve this. I really feel like I don't, and I've I have to I have to accept that this is where I was placed. This is a gift that was given to me, and I'm in this position for a reason, and I was chosen for this position, and I have to make the most of it. And even if that means doing my absolute best to make that happen, then I'm going to do my best every time. And I have to accept that too, that I've done my best at MFF. I've done as much as I can to I've done as much as I can to see others, and I've done everything in my power to spend time and to be myself and to give that person, that one person in that moment, that attention and like saying thank you and gratitude every time. So I'm gonna keep trying. I will never promise that I'll be perfect because I'm not gonna be perfect. I'm not, and I can't be. You know, neither can you. That's never something that was ever expected of either of us. So all that to say, I am grateful for all of you, every single one that I didn't get to meet. Even like, I meant to say, even if I didn't get to meet you, I'm so grateful for you. To those who I have gotten to meet and those who, I got to spend some time with. Like, you have no idea how much it means. You know, I mentioned earlier, I can only say thank you as many times as I can, and there's no way that I could truly express how much how grateful I am for this, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to show that, and I'm going to keep doing what I do to express that. And even though it's hard, trying not to get emotional, even though it's hard and I still deal with that imposter syndrome, I'm working through it and I'm doing what I can. So I hope that you accept that. And I hope that those I didn't get to meet or haven't gotten to meet yet, I will one day. And excuse me. One of these days, one day, you listening to this, I will meet you. At least I hope so. I really do. And you know, it's it's only the best I can do. I can only promise my best in that because you know, it's it just it honestly it feels like it feels like I'm in somebody else's story, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the definition of imposter syndrome. It feels like I'm living someone else's life that I don't deserve. But I'm telling myself and reminding myself that it is my story and I have to keep living it. Because who else is going to do it? You know, um, there's a there's a ribbon that I have on my keychain. It's from a friend who passed away some years ago. Long story short, a good friend of mine in college, when I was part of the church group that I was active in, she was a light in the world, like a true light in this world, and a true friend, and just one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. She ended up passing away from complications from surgery. I can't remember exactly what the surgery was for, but yeah, I think she was 21 when she passed. And I have this keychain with her name on it on my keys, and I look at it every day. It's got her name on it, and on the other side of it, it says, "If not me, then who? If not me, then who?" And those are some words that I've tried my best to live by. Like, if not me, then who else is going to do it? Who else is going to be this person? Nobody. So I'm going to do my best to be that person just for you. Oh, so sorry for the sob story. you know, um, I promise you that all in all, it was a positive experience. It was a very positive, like, time, and I would not take it back for a second. I would not change anything for a second. And I do that. I try to do that with every con and meet and everything that I go to, and do my very best. Sorry, excuse me. So going through MFF, I went to the maid raid. That was a lot of fun. I got to be a pretty maid and walk through the convention center as a pretty maid, and we do this every year. So if any of you saw a pretty pink maid in a little white skirt, that was me. Um, it was really cool to get to experience that and do the maid parade at the end. So I did that, and unfortunately, I had to miss the Fat Furs meet because of it. But it is what it is. That's the other thing that I had to learn at this con was, I swear, everything was happening on Friday. Like, friend was having a room party, and then the maid raid, and then the Fat Furs meet, and then there was a fourth thing. I can't remember what it was, but it was a watch party for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, right? And I still have not seen it, so no spoilers, please. But yeah, I had to choose. I had to choose my adventure in that and just be like, look, I am doing the maid raid. I'm sorry, but there will be other Fat Furs meets. There will be other opportunities to have a room party. There will be other opportunities for a watch party for FNAF 2. And I had to accept it, and I had to go and have a good time and enjoy it, which I did. So glad that it worked out that way. So maid raid was fun. Saturday was kind of a blur. Excuse me. I first suited for most of the day, which I try to do as much as possible because that's what I want to do when I go to cons is fursuit. I did not break my record this time, unfortunately, but I did my best. And that's where I think Saturday was the day that I got to meet most of you, which was a real treat and a blessing. And, I do appreciate every single one. And then Sunday, it was the last day, So I finally went to the dealer's den and I got some stuff. I won't say exactly, but you may see what I've gotten over time. So, and the only reason I'm not disclosing it is because it's not very family friendly. And no, I did not get any toys or anything like that. I just want to point that out. Okay, for the record, I did not get any toys, but I got some apparel to wear. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. I got some apparel. By the way, the con space itself, and of course the hallways, the death hallways, and the the dealer's den was unholy hot for some reason. I don't know why. It was boiling in there the entire weekend. Oh my gosh. Like, they moved the dealer's den. It used to be, so those of you who've been to MFF, you know that it used to be at the top of the escalators in the convention center. Well, they moved it downstairs into their bigger showroom, and they cranked up the heat so bad in there. I don't know what they were thinking. So I just was thinking about all those poor vendors that had to deal with the heat as well as trying to make sales. And some of them were like, fursuit makers, and they have all this fluffy stuff around them, and it's got to be even hotter. And oh my gosh, man, I can't fathom that. Ugh, it's just, yeah, awful. But, regulations, policies, I get it. You know, you gotta make sure that your patrons are comfortable and all that stuff. So I don't know what they were thinking, but maybe they thought it was too cold outside. Who knows? But anyway, so um, so that was Sunday. I spent most of the time Saturday and Sunday just trying to, you know, find find friends and be social, which I did. I found a good amount of friends and got to see them and spend time with them and walk through uh, walk through the con with them and just experience it for what it was. Also want to shout out Spyro Blaze. If you're listening, Spyro, thank you for being an amazing friend and for keeping me company most of the convention. I really hope it was a good time for you, and I know that both of us kind of got the con crud, so I am sorry about that. We were both sick by the end of it, but I'm just so glad. Like, I'm so thankful for you and the time that you spent with me, and also for the Christmas gifts. Thank you so much for those. Like, again, I don't deserve gifts. Like, I've had people give me gifts over the years, which 100% is not necessary. I just want to point that out again. You know, um, and like the fact that you took the time to come up and give me Christmas gifts is just so kind of you. Like, I really don't know what to say other than thank you, and I really appreciate you for doing that. You have really shown your heart, and you wear your heart on your sleeve. You're so down to earth and so lovely and sweet and kind, and I can't sing your praises enough, Spyro. Thank you for just being an absolute champion this con. I would not have had as good of a time without you, and I truly mean that. Like, even though it was hard for us at times to get connected, I am sorry about that because it was your first time, and it was I'm very familiar with the venue, and I only wish I could have helped more, but I'm so glad that it worked out the way that it did because I would not have had near as good of a weekend if it wasn't for you. Also want to shout out Joshy Plushy. Thank you for joining us for dinner. I really appreciate the meal that we had together and being able to just spend time together and just be be fluffy together. And also shout out to your dad for making it happen. Mr. B, thank you so much for bringing Joshy and making sure that he had a great time as well. Had a great dinner, great talks. Joshy, you are a wonderful friend, and I'm so appreciative of you, and I'm so glad that you got to experience MFF again, and you get to be yourself. And I just hope that I get to see you at more cons. I hope I get to see you more. I hope I get to spend more time with you, and I'm just so grateful for the time that we had together that night having dinner. And also listening to your dad talk about Star Wars was awesome. Just want to say. Um, so yeah, that was I think that was Saturday, and then on to Sunday, like I said. um, excuse me. Sunday is always the sad day. You're trying to squeeze out as many minutes as possible with all your friends and your chosen family, and trying to experience every last second of the con. And I'm glad that we did that. Like, we literally were up until like 2 in the morning on Sunday, just trying our best to enjoy every last bit of it. And I'm so glad that I got to spend time with my beloved friends and roommates and such, being able to do that. So, oh man, what a time. And then Monday we packed up, loaded up. I actually spent. I ended up falling asleep in fursuit. I was spending time with a new friend. Shout out to Laser Wolf for opening your room and giving very lovely cuddles. I appreciate it, and also, excuse me, for being so hospitable. Um, and I fell asleep in my suit, and I had to make the walk from one hotel to the other at like 7 in the morning to get back to my hotel room because I had to pack, you know? So, yeah, that was interesting. So I show up at my room early in the morning in fursuit, and I'm like, hey. And they're like, oh, what happened to you? And I'm like, long story. So, you know, that's how it goes sometimes, right? It do be like that sometimes. And of course, being very sad, packing my way through, and you know, all the fursuit stuff, all the clothes, all the everything that was uh, partaken in over the weekend, and just trying not to let post-con depression get to you. You know, PCD still be hitting hard. I still miss it. Oh man, I still miss this time, that whole time. You know, it's always so sad when you have to leave a con, and MFF was no exception. As a matter of fact, I would say that this MFF was one of the best that I've ever experienced, and I'm so glad that it turned out that way. And like I said, I would not take back a single minute. As a matter of fact, I'm looking around my room here that I'm doing this, and I still have not fully unpacked. I still have my fursuit tote. I still have my suitcase. I'm just, between being sick and working, still working while I'm sick, and having to do this and stream and all kinds of other things. Oh man, I'm dying. But yeah, I'm gonna spend some time this weekend to get that stuff underway and fixed up. So, but anyway, that was MFF. That was an experience, and I cannot wait for next year. It's honestly one of my favorite cons. It's in my top 5, and it will remain there. And also, an interesting fact. An interesting little factoid is that MFF actually had less attendees this year than previous years, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought for sure that they were going to surpass like Anthrocon, and Anthrocon had like 18,000 plus people. But no, MFF still remains at number 3, which is kind of weird because for a while there, MFF and Anthrocon were neck and neck, right? Um, they were like the two competing cons, and literally one year, I think it was in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, Anthrocon beat MFF's attendance by literally 3 people. Like, it was like 16,000 something, and then Anthrocon comes in like 16,003, and it's like, whoa, how did that happen? So, I remember the pity tweet that MFF put out saying, "Congratulations, Anthrocon, you did it! You're the biggest con now." And it's like, okay, yeah, we see where this is coming from. So, yeah, so I think as it stands right now for furry cons in the world, Anthrocon is number 1 in attendance. Number 2 is FWA, and number 3 is MFF. And I know that other cons like TFF and I believe it's just TFF and Megaplex is coming up too. They're the runner-ups. They're coming up pretty quick. I think TFF and Megaplex both had like 10,000 plus this year, so they're on their way. 4 and 5. So hey, the more furries we're getting, and the more furries that are made, and the more furries that attend these cons, it's a beautiful thing to see. So I'm glad to be in this era of time, watching furry conventions just grow and become this enormous, enormous place to just be yourself. So yeah, I'm I'm just recovering. My next con will be A&E, Anthro Northeast, or Anthro New England, as it's called. I've heard it called both ways. Excuse me. I've heard it called both ways, Anthro Northeast and Anthro New England. It's A&E. Both acronyms work, right? So, yeah. um, that's a smaller con in Boston, and I'm really excited for it. I already have a room, which is awesome. So shout out to Schrodinger for hooking me up. And then after that, I'm looking at MCFC, Motor City FurCon as it is, Anthro Ohio, possibly TFF. I'm still kind of on the fence about that, but we'll see how the financial situation stacks up. with this new raise, who knows? I might be going to more cons next year. Or I might, might have to change it up a little bit and try to go out to a Western con, like California or, maybe even Anther Northwest. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. We'll see. Um, let's go to the loose itinerary for cons as it stands right now. But anyway, um, moving on from cons, I was reminded of something yesterday that I just had to laugh, and I want to talk about it for a second because I feel like those of you listening will have an opinion, or maybe you don't, and that's fine. I'm just curious about your take, right? So I listen to a lot of Creepcasts, and to those of you who don't know, Creepcast is a podcast led by Wendigoon and Meat Canyon. So aka Isaiah and Hunter. So two YouTubers who came together, and all they do on this podcast is they read creepypastas and other such scary stories like r/no sleep on Reddit, and you know, excuse me, user submitted stories, which is really cool. I'm glad that they're dipping into the community and encouraging people to write their own scary stories, and that's what's been happening. So yesterday, on my way home from my parents, I was listening to an episode from a few months back, and it is the My Little Pony creepypasta, which is circa 2011, I want to say is when it came out, which is that tracks for like most of the popular creepypastas that came out at the time. But I had never like sat down and read My Little Pony creepypasta, the classic one, the original. Um, I read a lot of creepypastas growing up, but that's not one of them, unfortunately. But um, I had to laugh because I think back to the time, and I became a furry in 2011, so also tracks, right? um, I've been a furry since 2011, and I remember at the time, bronies and furries were often at odds with each other, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a comparison thing. Maybe it's the fact that, one fandom was vastly different than the other. One was based on a medium, like a media medium, aka My Little Pony, and the other one was based off of nothing, just your own creativity of your persona, right? And the like for anthropomorphic animals. So I never really understood why those two communities were ever at odds, like maybe it's the fact, and this is just my opinion. You feel free to, flow in the comments if you have something to say. But maybe it's just the fact that bronies were so desperate to not be seen as furries. Because if you look at it from face value, if you're a layman looking at it at face value, it's kind of the same thing. Now, I know I may have ruffled some feathers just by that statement alone, but think about it. You have your pony sona, you have a character that is anthropomorphized, talking pony, um, and they have human characteristics. Very similar to furries, animal with human characteristics, right? So I think there was this, there was, I don't know, there was just this overwhelming sense of we're not the same, comparison, like anti-comparison sort of movement of we're not furries, don't compare us to furries, we want to be our own thing. And that's fine. Like you can be that. You can be different. You can be a brony and not a furry. You can be a furry and not a brony. You can be neither, and you can still have characters, and that's fine. It's whatever you decide to do with it, and whatever you choose to define yourself as, right? So, that being said, I just remember back in the day, and I sound old when I say that, but back in the day of My Little Pony fandom, when it was like fresh and new, like the new Lauren Faust series had come out on whatever platform, I don't remember, but um, yeah, it was just like a boom. It was a boom explosion of bronies just like flooding the internet. And it was to the point where even making YouTube videos back in that day, I would still get I would get comments from bronies just like absolutely criticizing me. Like, oh, furry's disgusting and da 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 da. And I'm just like, why? What's the big deal? Like, I don't care that you like My Little Pony, so what? So, naturally, as a teenager, you try to separate yourself from the brony fandom, right? And that's what I tried to do, I'm like, I'm not a brony, I don't know why these people are coming on my page and saying these things, I don't want to fight. But, it was oftentimes, like, if I had to be honest, it was oftentimes it, it felt like trolling. It really did. And, like, if you want to troll, then fine, be a troll, but I don't have to listen, That's kind of the conclusion that I came to back then, excuse me. Um, but that's not really the funny part. The funny part is not only listening to this podcast and being reminded of those times, but I heard recently and I saw recently that there's been like we'll call it a resurgence, if you will, in the brony fandom. And bronies are still out there. Like, don't get me wrong, they never went anywhere, right? They're still around. Um, but I've noticed it happening again, like bronies trying to separate themselves from furries and vice versa. And, there's all this comparison stuff going on. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's 2011 again. It feels like it's 2011 again with all these, bronies, trying to prove or disprove that they're furries. And I have a theory about that. I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening, but I also have a theory about that. Um, my theory is the fact that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of bronies that partake in the furry fandom. Now, whether they call themselves a furry or not, that's totally up to them. Like, you can be a brony and still go to a furry convention or a meetup or whatever. You can have a full suit made of your pony sona and, still participate in convention activities. That's fine. But it's almost like, it's almost like, it's almost like it's a Venn diagram, right? Like, the brony and furry fandom have come together in a Venn diagram sense of, we're not the same, but we're equal, right? We are our own fandoms, but we are still we're accepting of each other, right? And that's happened more and more in recent years. Like, I've been seeing a lot of bronies at furry fit. I've been seeing a lot of bronies at furry conventions, over the years, and that's okay. That's totally cool. Like, you are welcome to be there. I do not have any sense or say to say that you can't be there, because you absolutely can, by all means. Um, but yeah, that this resurgence of, like, this whole separation hatred, it just got me thinking, like, what's the big deal? Honestly, what's the big deal? Like, okay, you're not a furry, that's fine, but you can still come and enjoy the furry fandom as it is. So, I don't know. That's my theory. It's like there's this Venn diagram sense, or this Venn diagram reality that's going on, where furries and bronies are intersecting quite a bit now. Whereas 10 plus years ago, that was not the case. So it's changed over time. And that's okay too. It's okay for your fandom to evolve. It's okay for your fandom to take on, different values, and, maybe add new values, or reassess older values, right? You have to have self-awareness. And I think part of that self-awareness is being open-minded and accepting of people who want to participate and want to be there. So, yeah, that's just my take. I think the furry fandom has definitely opened its doors more. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Furry fandom has definitely opened its doors more to more interests, because, you can also say the same for, like, cosplayers. Like, I saw a lot of cosplayers at MFF and other cons. May not be particularly furry, they may not identify as a furry, and that's okay. You are welcome to cosplay at a furry convention. Totally. 100%. Go to town. You are welcome here, right? And you don't have to call yourself a furry. You're surrounded by furries. That's the catch, right? You're surrounded by furries, but you don't have to be one to be here, right? Or to participate in the fandom. So, and another example, another popular example is, pups, right? Pups, leather ponies, the list goes on, not inherently furry in itself, But they often intersect with the furry fandom because a lot of furries are pups, or a lot of furries are leather ponies, or, a lot of furries can also be bronies, and you can be all the above if you want to be, right? But at the same time, you maintain that you can be one thing and not the other. That is completely up to you. It is your fandom, and you decide how you want to participate. So, yeah, that little Creepcast episode yesterday just got me thinking, and I just had to laugh. Like, I can't believe we're back to this animosity. Like, I thought we got over it, but it just goes to show that if you don't know history, especially internet history, you're doomed to repeat it. So let's not repeat these levels of animosity and ego and trolling and hatred. Let's be friends. I think it's the time. The time is now. Let's be friends. Let's accept each other and our differences, and let's accept our let's just embrace our weird. Can we do that? That's my little excuse me, that's my little PSA with phlegm included. Free of charge. No. Can we accept our own weird, and can we accept the weird of others? The answer is yes, we can. There's no need to be hard about it. There's no need to be hateful about it. There's no need to compare yourself and rob your joy from that comparison. Let's be ourselves together because that's what it's all about. Can we do that? I think we can. So, coming to the end of this podcast, I think I've talked enough, and I'm going to be honest. I need to stop talking because I have been holding back a lot of coughs, and I really need some tissues. So I'm going to end this here. But I just want to say, overall, MFF was a wonderful experience, and I would not trade any of it for anything. I would not trade any of you for anybody else. And all I ask is that you, be yourself, even if you're like of a certain interest, even if you don't identify a certain way, that's fine. That's totally okay. You are valid and you are loved for who you are. So I encourage you. What I say, what I mean is be you and be yourself. There's no one like you. There has never been anyone like you, and there will be never anyone like you in the future. Only you can do the things the way that you can, the way that you do best. No one can ever take that away from you, and that includes people in your own community and people in alternate communities, other communities. No one can take that away from you or tell you who you can and can't be or what you can and can't do. And that applies to all of you, every single one listening, whoever you are. Excuse me. And always remember, sic parvis magna, greatness from small beginnings. Remember your small beginnings and the greatness therein, from the time that you started on your journey to now. Don't forget those who brought you up and who continue to stand by you today. They're there for a reason, and they're in your life for a reason. So make sure you let them know that you love and appreciate them, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. And yeah, as always, thank you for this gift. Thank you for allowing me to do this, for giving me this gift, and not that I have to do it every day, but that I get to. It is an absolute joy to do every single day, and I would not trade it for anything. And you all are just, you make my life. You've changed it for the better. You've given me so much, and I cannot begin to thank you enough for that, even though I keep trying as much as I can. So, until next time, my friends, this is Samson Kitty Fox. Stay healthy, stay loved, be you, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye. Meow meow. Love you.